Hey friends, welcome back. It is Sarah from Midwife Your Garden if you are new here. And I just wanted to give like a late May, early June full garden update. So I am up here at the far garden and I'm just gonna take you on a quick run through. There's not a whole lot of changes up here, just a whole lot of growth, which is great. And then I'll show you what's happening at home. So let me flip you around here. All right, so we are gonna start here. This is our onion bed. It does need a little bit of weeding, but it's actually hanging in there pretty well from the last weeding. A little bit of flowers here on the end. And then the potatoes, which are getting so big and so lovely and starting to put on their flowers. And that means that they are starting to produce tubers, which is very, very exciting. So soon we might have some little baby new potatoes. But you know, usually I just wait. Usually it means we got another 4 weeks at least before we get a really good potato harvest. So those are looking pretty good. We've got the carrots here on the ends that are growing. This whole row of beans that's doing exceptionally well. They're not quite tall enough to start trellising up this trellis yet, but they're getting pretty close. Trying out some new weed barrier. We threw some cardboard and some recently cut grass down here. Wasn't enough for the whole row, but and these are little pumpkin plants that are going to make little pumpkins. So these are going to be those little white pumpkins, and those are the slightly bigger orange pumpkins. I'm very excited. Hopefully these also will just go right up this trellis. And then this is my nieces and brother-in-law's section. So tomatoes, kale, the flowers are starting to put on some flowers and look beautiful. So that is this section. We were doing some weeding today, hopefully you can tell, but there is still so much weeding left to do. But everything up here is looking pretty good. So let's take you down to the other section. I am gonna collect some of that kale for my brother-in-law, and then I will probably also collect some dill for our caterpillars, and I will show you that as we do it too. This bed right here is mostly dill. There's zucchini plants hiding in here, and what I've been doing is just coming in, and as these squash plants grow, I'm taking the dill that is the closest to them to give them a little bit more room to grow. But you can tell the dill is growing so fast now that it is starting to crowd everything. So we will come in here and get a bunch of that. These are those tomatoes that we took care of just recently, and they are doing beautifully. The tomatillos are getting so tall. This is, you know, rib height at this point, these tomatillos. These are a giant version of tomatillos, so hopefully we'll get some pretty big tomatillos here. I'm sorry, they're doing some lawn care over here. The peppers are actually starting to put on some peppers. We have pepperoncinis already starting to put on. Of our sweet peppers are already putting on little peppers. It's a little early in the year from this. I should probably really take these and let the plants just grow bigger, but like I said, I'm really not too worried about it. We're gonna get plenty either way. We actually already we've had flowers on the tomatoes for a little while, but it looks like, if I can show it to you, that we actually have our first little tomato on here too. So all of that's very exciting. All right, and then I'll show you what we have on the other side. All right, friends, just one more shot of kind of clearing out that dill a little bit around those plants. That is a pile of dill that I'm taking to the caterpillars. This is my giant bunch of kale that I'm taking to my brother-in-law. I'll see you on the other side. Okay friends, I know I keep talking about dill for the caterpillars, so this is that big bunch of dill that we just brought from the other garden. And these are the caterpillars. Oh, sorry, I'm turning the wrong way. These are the caterpillars. I am going to try to figure out how to post a picture of what they look like when they are done, but we have them in all different stages in here. So we have some really little ones over here and some big fat ones. And then as they get done, they do this thing called J-ing, where they get in this beautiful J shape. And within about 24 hours of that J shape, they turn into, you see that beautiful green chrysalis right there. And another caterpillar right nearby, also J-ing and getting ready. So this is really easy. This is just a little butterfly net that kind of keeps them safe. It sits outside our front door. I just have a cup in here that I fill with water and stick the dill in, roots and all. And as I see caterpillars on the dill that we have at home, I just collect them. Oh, there's some teeny tiny ones over here. I just collect them and I keep feeding them until they're all in chrysalises. And then we just wait. As soon as they come out of their chrysalises, we just open up this zipper and let them out. And we've been doing that for a few years now, and usually we get a good 60. I think right now we only have about 30, but usually we get a good solid 60 caterpillars released per year. All right, the strawberry patch. Can we talk about the strawberry patch? I have never in my life grown more strawberries than we could use. We always have needed to supplement our strawberries. We eat a lot of strawberries. And this year, for the past week and a half, so it's not quite June, and these are June bearing strawberries, we have gotten 3 to 4 quarts a day of strawberries from this weedy, crazy mess. And that has just been fantastic. I can't even describe to you how fantastic it's been. But to the point where we've put some in the freezer that I might be able to actually make jam from our very own strawberries this year. Here is one of the beautiful swallowtails, hopefully leaving some more eggs on another little dill plant. So that butterfly right there is what that entire situation is all about. We have some blueberry plants. Some of them are doing better than others this year. We definitely have a bunch of blueberries on them, but we only have 4 plants, so we really don't get much to speak of. The weather has been a little cooler these past few days, so we have covered up those sweet potatoes, like I said, just with that light fleece, and they seem to be doing okay in there, even though it's a little bit cooler out. We are getting flushes of herbs. We will probably need to come through and gather more mint and more oregano and maybe some more chives. But the dill at this point is just a nursery. So that's what we have out front. We actually have some kind of sad stuff happening to some of the things in the back. Let's see if we can get some good pictures of it. But there are some other changes in the back that are less sad. So let's investigate what we got going on here. All right, so our peach tree this year never put on blossoms. And I think, unfortunately, that most of the evidence of what happened is gone, but it is a leaf curl fungus that has made this plant very sick. So luckily we have gotten rid of all of that for this season, and we're just trying to keep it really healthy this season. We did a bunch of trimming to try and air it out in the center, but it will need to get sprayed with some actual fungicides in the fall. Now that luckily will be after everything else in the garden is out, so I'm not really worried about it getting on other things, but I will have to wear a mask and gloves and be really careful about it. But in order to get the fruit trees to grow, that is what will need to happen, and that will be all 4 of our fruit trees. All right, in this bed we have poppies that are getting ready to give us flowers. I'm very excited. I've never grown poppies before, and these are there's so many little flower buds on here. So I think in the next week or 2, those are going to be gorgeous. We have been picking this kale. It has gone through the freeze dryer multiple times. We have some snapdragons that are also getting really, really close to blooming for us, which again, I just have never really done much with the flowers before, so I'm super excited about that. The kohlrabi, we've already taken a couple of these in the house, but they are sizing up really nicely. and they are beautiful and blemish free, and I am just very excited about them. We have a few more to plant. We topped the basil recently. So topping the basil just means that you go down to where you've got a branch and you take it off here so that this and this area will just grow up and get much bushier. So I've gone around and done that to most. You can see a stem here, and then the side shoots, a stem here that we cut, and the side shoots. So that was just done a couple days ago. We also threw that in the freeze dryer. This cilantro, we only really got one good cutting out of it, and it's starting to bolt. It just gets very soapy tasting when it does that, so I'm not going to harvest it again for cilantro, but I'm going to let it go to seed in this area, and we'll get some good coriander out of it and some seed for next year, and that'll be fine. Some more poppy plants on the end here. Here's where some more big changes have happened. Again, we got a couple poppies. There's a few marigolds in here. There was this row of carrots and some beets, but not very many beets germinated, but at least a few are finally starting to pop up here. But the spinach was in here, and that has now all come out. So we have this kind of bare area. I may put a few of the kohlrabi starts that I have on this very edge here, and they may have a chance if they go there, but this is now our tomato bed, and these tomatoes are growing fast. They are already 3 to 4 feet tall, and there is just not a lot of chance for anything that goes in here to get very much sun in another few weeks. These tomatoes are really just going to take over this whole bed, and this is a 4-foot wide bed, so this it's a lot that they really end up taking over and shading. This bed back here, these are our snap peas. They are really starting to put on peas, and I just like to take them and eat them. Sorry, chewing sounds. But these are lovely. My daughter's really been helping keep up with those. All of the arugula has gone to flower here, but I'm probably going to let it go ahead and flower for the pollinators, and we'll collect some seeds when it's done. The lettuce we're still collecting a little bit of, but it's just never really been our favorite. We need to get out here really in the next few days and get these garlic scapes. So these are all hardneck varieties of garlic. Most of it is music garlic, and they send up these scapes. It is really hard to see them because it's all just green. But it is these long shafts that kind of curl up like this. And this is what they would send up for flowers. And so if we let this go, this will turn into a flower, and then we'll get garlic seed, which is not really how we grow garlic these days. And we don't want it to do that. We want it to put all of that energy down into that root development, into that bulb development. So we will come through and take those. These garlic scapes are actually edible. They're so yummy. Chop them up into small pieces, fry them up in some garlic, throw them in stir fries, throw them in soups, just about anything that you would want garlic for. They are a much milder flavor. Some people dehydrate them and turn them into garlic powder. It is then a green garlic powder, which kind of colors things a little bit strange, so it's not my favorite thing. But the taste is actually really great, just fresh. The raspberries are literally growing like weeds, finally starting to put on some actual little raspberries though, so hopefully we'll get a harvest of that soon. The raspberry leaves also make a really nice tea for anybody, really anybody female. Raspberry leaf tea, it's pretty good. We have a little thyme plant down here that is struggling, so I did take a giant chunk of that and moved it out front, but we'll probably harvest a bunch of that soon. The flower bed is doing amazing. I'm super excited. We did take a huge cutting off of the lemon balm, and it is grown back pretty quickly. We have calendula flowering. We have celosia starting to look very beautiful. Another poppy over there. We still have this gate up here, mostly for the bunnies. We also have a couple of dogs visiting from out of town. Oh my god, the straw flowers. Hold on. I have to show you this. This is so beautiful. Look at that. That's one of our straw flowers. It's so pretty. and the stalk are starting to put on flowers. That's our sunflower. Hopefully it'll grow pretty soon here. Anyway, we've had some dogs visiting, so Miss Gate has been pretty helpful keeping the dogs out of here too. But I think we're going to try and roll it back a little when they are not here anymore and see if we get bunny damage. If we do, then we'll just leave it. But if we don't, then we'll probably be able to take it down. And then we have one more bed in the back where all of our broccoli was and our cauliflower. Most of the cauliflowers and the broccolis have come out. We have 2 more cauliflower from that original batch that are still in here. We have a few that were replacements for broccoli that got ruined. So I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll see if they do anything. It might get too hot for them at this point. The cabbages are all starting to do good things. They're getting really, really big. These ones are Brunswick, I think. So they're going to be really, really, really huge when they're ready. So they're just starting to head up a little tiny bit at this point. These are Copenhagen markets, and they're doing really well. They're actually a little bit ahead of my early Jersey Wakefields, which I'm a little bit surprised by. These are my early Jersey Wakefields. They are also starting to heart up, but just a little bit further behind. And then some Salad Delight, some of these purple ones. On the packages, these say that they take the least amount of time, but they really have always taken the longest for me for whatever reason. So lots of those, just barely starting to head up. But in all of this empty space, we have started planting again. So these are edamame or soybeans. Now there is no type of soybean that I could get to plant that is GMO. So if that's something that's important to you, that's not a thing that you can get as a home gardener. That is only something that you can get as a mass producing farmer. So these are non-GMO organic soybean seeds that I planted in little start pots and then planted out, and they are doing really well. In this little section right here, I planted some bush bean black beans, and in that little section over there, so we'll keep those well watered. And then the rest of this bed got replanted with carrots. So here we have some Yaya hybrid carrots. There are Danvers, and then some Nantes along here. So just a few different varieties of carrots. We did not get a very good spring carrot planting, but it turns out that carrots and kohlrabi really can be planted anytime throughout the summer. We think of them as cool weather crops because they do fine in the cool weather, but they really do fine in the heat too. The biggest thing about carrots in the heat is that you really have to keep the seeds moist in order for them to sprout, and they do take a good long while to sprout, so they do take up to a couple of weeks to sprout. So sometimes it's a pain keeping them moist in the warmer weather. You know, some people cover them with board, some people cover them with cardboard. I am really close to this bed, is right out of the back of the house, and so often I will just come out here and water them a couple times a day, and that seems to be good enough. This over here was our second planting of spinach along this row right here, and some of it is bolting, but not all of it, so I left it for maybe one more little harvest. The pepper plants are looking so good here. These are much bigger than the pepper plants at the other garden, and I think it's because they just didn't have all of those buds on them yet, although they're starting to put them on now. So they're just a little bit happier. But that's it, folks. That's what we have. So that's it, folks. That's what we have up here at the garden for very late May, early June. I would love to say that I do great permaculture. I don't. I obviously have an entire bed that I just planted with carrots. And so that's not really great for keeping pests away. It's not really great for, the pests I think are really kind of the biggest thing. But you know, permaculture is great. Being able to sow lots of different things in the same space, you know, a few carrots here and a few carrots here and a few carrots there, really is a better way to garden, but it's just not how my brain works. My brain works like, oh, I'm taking the cabbages out. What is going in there? I'm just going to put carrots down. So maybe as I grow as a gardener, I will get better at that. But right now, organic and production are kind of my big goals. And as I get better and better at those, then hopefully I'll get better at doing more of the fancy techniques where I get the beds mixed up a little bit better. But for now, that's what we have. So thanks for visiting, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video. All right, bye.